You were the smart kid. The one the teacher called on, the one who finished the test first, the one your parents told every relative about at every family dinner, whether you liked it or not. And somewhere along the way, you stopped being that kid. And you're not sure what you became instead. This video is for anyone who spent years being told they were gifted, and now finds themselves exhausted, stuck, and quietly terrified that they used up all their potential before they were even 25. And if that sentence made something tighten in your chest just now, keep watching. Because there's a name for what you're experiencing, and more importantly, there's a way out of it. Here's something nobody told you when you were 10 years old and breezing through every test. Being called the smart one is not a compliment. It's a contract. An invisible agreement that says you will keep performing, you will keep exceeding expectations, you will never struggle visibly, and you will definitely never ask for help because smart people don't need it. And so you spent years, maybe your whole school life, building an identity entirely around being capable, around being the one who gets it, the one who doesn't need to try. The problem? That identity has a fatal flaw. It only works when things are easy. The moment you hit something genuinely hard, a difficult exam, a creative block, a subject that doesn't click immediately, everything falls apart, not just the work. Your entire sense of who you are. Because if you're the smart kid and you're struggling, what does that make you? Psychologists call this a fixed mindset. Carol Dweck spent decades studying it, but here's what the textbooks don't tell you. For gifted kids, a fixed mindset isn't a personality flaw. It was trained into you, rewarded into you, every gold star, every "you're so talented," every time an adult made you feel special for something that came naturally. That was the trap closing. At some point, every gifted kid hits a wall. For some it's secondary school, for others it's university. For some it's their first real job, the first place where effort, not raw talent, actually determines the outcome. And when that wall arrives, it's not just academically challenging. It's existentially terrifying. Because you never had to learn how to study, you never had to build a system for getting things done when you didn't feel like it, you never had to practice being wrong, sitting with confusion, pushing through the discomfort of not understanding something immediately. Those are skills, real, learnable skills, and you were never taught them, because you never seemed to need them. So when things got hard, you didn't think, "I need to develop better strategies." You thought, "Something must be wrong with me." And so you started avoiding hard things, not because you were lazy, that word doesn't even begin to cover it, but because failing at something felt like dying a small death every single time. So you stayed where it was comfortable. Or you kept busy with things that felt productive but required no real risk. You optimized your notes, you rewatched lectures, you made color-coded plans you never followed. And underneath all of that, you were exhausted, not from working, from protecting yourself from the possibility of failing. That is gifted kid burnout, and it's not a motivation problem. It's not laziness. It's the long-term cost of building your entire identity on a performance you were never meant to maintain forever. Let's talk about what this actually looks like, because it doesn't look like what most people picture when they think of burnout. It doesn't always look like crying in the bathroom or failing every class. Sometimes it looks like someone who's doing okay on the surface, but is completely hollowed out underneath. Here are the signs. Procrastinating on things you actually care about, because if you try and fail, it confirms your worst fear. Binge watching or doom scrolling for hours, not because you're enjoying it, but because it's the only time your brain isn't narrating your failures. Starting 10 things and finishing none of them, because starting is exciting. Finishing is exposing. Comparing yourself obsessively to people around you, and feeling either superior or devastated, never neutral. Feeling like a fraud every time someone calls you smart, because deep down, you know you're running on fumes. Sound familiar? Good, because naming the thing is the first step to not being controlled by it. The exhaustion you feel isn't a character flaw. It's a predictable, documented, psychological responsito being set up with the wrong model of what intelligence and success actually require. Here's what most self-improvement videos will tell you at this point: build better habits, set smaller goals, use the Pomodoro technique, get enough sleep. And look, those things are fine. But they're not the actual fix. The actual fix is unglamorous, and nobody wants to hear it. You need to unlearn the belief that your worth is tied to your output. Because every productivity system in the world breaks down if the person running it still secretly believes that a bad week means they're a bad person. So here's what actually starts to work, and what you'll notice in people will come out the other side of this. 1. They started valuing effort over results, not as a cope, but as a genuine recalibration. They started tracking whether they showed up, not just whether they succeeded. 2. They deliberately chose to do hard things badly at first, removing the myth that their value comes from looking effortless. 3. They stopped hiding when they struggled, because isolation is where gifted kid burnout festers. Saying, "I'm finding this hard," out loud, deflates it. 4. They separated their identity from their performance. You are not your grades, you are not your output, you are not your productivity score, or your title, or what you produced this week. You never were. You were not given a gift. You were given a head start. And head starts run out. That's not a tragedy. That's just the race becoming real. The version of you that burned out wasn't weak. They were running on empty for years before they even noticed. Carrying expectations they never signed up for. And standards nobody could maintain forever. The version of you that comes after this? They don't need to be gifted. They just need to start. Imperfectly. Slowly. Honestly. You weren't built to be effortless. You were built to keep going. If this video felt like it was talking directly to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more of this. And go easy on yourself today. That's it. See you in the next one.